Adora. My name is Siti Sarah Akila binti Muhammad and I will start the presentation with the first content, which is the summary of the movie. Three Idiots is a Bollywood movie in which the action alternates between the present day and the characters' time in college with a lot of flashbacks. It all started when Farhan Qureshi and Raju Rastogi received information from their biggest college rival, Chatu Ramaningam, that their long-lost friend, Rancho Das aka Rancho, had been traced after 5 years of searching. Rancho had disappeared and no one knew where he had gone. The trio start their journey to find him, where flashback reveals Rancho, Raju and Farhan were engineering students, and Rancho has always believed that a person should be capable rather than be a bookworm in order to be successful. Furthermore, they frequently found themselves into scraps with the Dean of Delhi's Imperial College of Engineering, Biru Sahasrabudhe aka Virus, and had to deal with some significant situations that many individuals confront on a daily basis in their lives. Things were going fine for them as they also cleared their first year exams. This movie is getting more interesting when they arrive at Rancho's house in present day. They discover that Rancho's father has passed away and the person claiming to be Rancho is someone else who is completely different from the Rancho they had known during their college studies. Next is the stakes for each stakeholder. Rancho Das Shamal Das Chanchat or Fusuk Wangdu, generally known as Rancho, is the first of the stakeholders to be identified. His stake is in the fight with the education system that is getting worse. He fought against the brutal education system which treated students like machines and increased the pressure on students, particularly his friends Farhan and Raju, with perseverance and tenacity. Aside from that, there is passion for learning and gain new knowledge. Since he was a child, he has been ready to carry someone else's name and keep his true identity hidden as long as he is able to attend and learn in school and be a successful person. Professor Biru Sahasrabudhe aka Virus is the second stakeholder to be considered. As the dean of the college, he maintains a strict stance on the teaching methods. He is stubbornly committed to a doctrinal approach of teaching and is unable to tolerate other people's opinion on alternative teaching methods. Also, Virus has been searching for an extraordinary student for 32 years in order to award that student with Virus Precious Pen, which he received from his professor when he was a student. That's all from me and I will pass the presentation to Fatin Nabila.
Assalamualaikum to Madam Adora. My name is Fatin Nabila binti Ahmad and I am going to explain main villain and hero in this movie. Biru Sahasrabudhe is the main villain in this movie. He is the engineering professor and headmaster of the ICI University. Most students nickname him as Virus, Computer Virus, as it could be a reflection of his attitude of being arrogant and cruel towards his students. He had a tremendous passion for competition and was convinced that if he competed, he could win. Therefore, he tended to put similar pressure on his students, including his own son. The character as Virus was starred by Borman Irani. Next, Rancho is the hero in this movie. However, Rancho was not his real name. His real name was Fungsuk Wangdu, who has become one of the famous scientists in the world. He was a child who could not afford to study at school but instead sleep on classes and wear uniform even though he is not enrolled. He is a genius by birth and he never wanted to stop learning. He was the son of a servant who worked for Rancho Das Shamal Das Chanchat's father. Chanchat's father decided to put Fungsuk Wangdu in the engineering school by his son's name as Rancho Das. This is because Chanchat's father wanted a degree for his son, but his son did not enjoy school and traveled abroad instead. Since Fungsuk Wangdu did not care about the degree, he accepts the decisions because he was in love with engineering. So the character as Rancho was starring by Amir Khan.
Thank you, Fatin Nabila. Hi, my name is Nur Shaira binti Abdul Ghafur and I'll be continuing with this presentation with ethical dilemma in this movie. Okay, from the hero side, we can see that there are few dilemmas. So the first one is when Rancho is in a lecture class, then his professor asks him to give the definition of machine. However, his definition is not schematically correct or exactly same in the textbooks. So the lecturer was not satisfied because Rancho is trying to defend himself. So Rancho was scolded and asked to leave the class. Then this is where he is in dilemma whether he should fight back or just leave the class quietly. And of course, Rancho goes back inside and fight with his lecturer. So the next dilemma is that when Rancho was visiting his friend's house named Raju, then Raju's mom kept on complaining about the price of groceries that keep on increasing and so on. Then Raju was embarrassed with his mother's action and decided to storm outside the house. Rancho was confused. Should he follow and console his friend or just stay inside and continue eating? And this time Rancho decided to stay quietly inside and continue what he was doing. And lastly, Rancho was given a dare from his two friends. They made a bet if Rancho goes and confesses to his crush, Pia, both of them will change their life and follow their heart. This is a huge dilemma for Rancho because his crush is his professor daughter. But for the love of his friend, he decided to go and confess to his crush.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Ahmad Helmi bin Khaliduddin and I will explain on the ethical dilemma of the villain. Dr. Viru faced the biggest dilemma in the movie when his daughter was in the verge of giving birth. However, it was raining heavily that it causes flash flood and the taxi cannot move, nor can the ambulance come through. The only help Dr. Viru has is the three problematic students in his point of view. Now the dilemma is whether he should trust her daughter's life to the students or stick with his ego and scold them for meddling in her daughter's business instead. Next, I will explain on the action taken by the villain from a consequentialist point of view. Let's take a look at one of the most memorable actions taken by the villain in this movie, Dr. Viru. Dr. Viru would give an annual speech to the first year student. In his speech, he uses cowell bird as metaphor of the students to teach them that life is all about competition. Compete or die, he said. His intention might be to inspire the students, but what are the consequences? The main stakeholder in this case is the students. The result of Dr. Viru's philosophy has given negative impact to the student as they would feel pressured into getting good grades instead of getting excited to learn new things. In the story, one of the students feels pressured enough to even take his own life. Other stakeholders would be their parents. When students are too pressured to perform as well as others, their parents will get disappointed. Some might have been investing all their money to their child just to get them into higher learning institutions. Their child failures would prove disastrous to their family. Another stakeholder will be the employers. They will find it hard to search for quality fresh graduates that are not just performing well in their exams, but also passionate to be working in the industry. All these negative consequences lead us to conclude that Dr. Viru's action is unethical, even though his intention might be good for the students.
So, a deontologist is a theory that states it is possible to determine the right and wrong action by examining the action itself without focusing on the consequences. For the action taken by the hero from deontologist's point of view, we can see that Rancho helps Raju's father, who is critically need to go to the hospital. So he helped it by using Pia motorcycle. Imagine bringing someone who is sick on motorcycle. Of course, it could bring harm to the patient. However, due to his belief and duty, he just rushed to the hospital with the motorcycles. Next, Rancho tricked his classmate and professor to search for a definition in the textbook when actually does not exist. It is not good to trick people, but behind that, Rancho was trying to tell the lecturer that the real process of teaching is not about the competition. He is trying to set the things right and change the current system. He did not care if his action might get him suspended. All he cared is about setting the system right. And lastly, Rancho keeps on telling lies to encourage Raju to wake up from his coma. He did not care about the consequences if his lies might bring any fake hope to his friend. He just focused on his objective and duty, which is to wake his friend up from the coma. So that's all from me, and I'll pass the presentation to Halila Shauna.
Assalamualaikum and hi to Madam Adura. I'm Khalila Shauna Binti Ahmad Nazri and will be presenting content 3, mainly on putting myself into villain shoes. Moving on to the ethical action based on the golden rule and cite the feeling if I'm in the villain shoes. Before diving deep down, let's take a look at the definitions of golden rule. Golden rule is defined as the moral ethics in treating others the way that you would like to be treated in the same way. In the first scene, if I'm in the villain's shoes, I will feel remorse. Remorse is the feeling of deep regret arising from a sense of guilt. Thus, the ethical action taken from the scene is Mr. Virus being deeply regretted when he knows that his son committed suicide due to his pressure in making him one of the engineers. Thus, he tried to reflect himself based on the incident that happened. In the second scene, if I'm in the villain's shoes, I would feel guilty. Guilty is the feeling of responsibility after done something wrong. Thus, the ethical action taken from the scene is Mr. Virus had encouraged his grandchild to follow his dream after knowing that his son committed suicide due to his pressure in making him an engineer. In the third scene, if I'm in the villain's shoes, I would feel shame. Shame is the feeling of humiliation after a foolish behavior. Thus, the ethical action taken from the scene is Mr. Virus had lowered his ego by passing down his Professor Heritage pen as the acknowledgement that Ranchos is an extraordinary student of his.
Last but not least, lesson learned from this movie. To conclude, there are many lessons that we could learn from this movie, especially from the main character Rancho, who has taught us the value of friendship. Always treat our friends as our second family. He always encourages his friends to bring out what they have so that they can be proud of themselves. He is for them through ups and downs and helps them when they are in need. In the movie, Rancho was the one who put in the most effort to bring Raju's father to the hospital on time. And by that time, he realized that friends will always be friends, especially in times of troubles, trials, and difficulties. Our friends will be the ones that we can freely communicate our thoughts and who will always be there for us no matter what. True friends are hard to find, so cherish and keep them if you have them. Another important lesson in this movie is follow our passion. Live it according to your passions and do what you love the most. We can't live for others, but for ourselves first. We may not make a lot of money if we do what we love, but we will be happy and satisfied with our work. In the movie, Farhan was not doing what he enjoys the most. He was pursuing an engineering degree, a course that he dislikes. He wanted to be a professional wildlife photographer since it was his dreams, but he was forced to study engineering to pursue his father's passion. Finally, with the help of Rancho, Farhan has accomplished his passion. Although being a wildlife photographer may not earn him as much money as being an engineer, the happiness of pursuing what he loves cannot be replaced by anything. Hence, by making our talent on something that we are passionate about, we will have a greater appreciation for life and a desire to learn more, since fulfillment, joy, happiness, and love will be the result of the passion. Last but not least, the movie of Three Idiots is definitely worth watching. Much of it is a comedy, but there are also some existential moments where they explore the meaning of life and work, and it's also a tender film that taught us many lessons in life. So that's all from all of us. Thank you.